on in my Ranking 100 Victorian Books series, and we are doing books 29 through 20. So let's get started. And the first one is The Mayor of Casterbridge by Thomas Hardy. This was such a soap opera of a book, and it had so many what moments. I was really shocked by what happened. Such a page turner, and it is a bit gentler on you than some of his books, and just so interesting. I think I've heard people call it a dark comedy. It did not read that way to me at all, but I really enjoyed this, and I don't know how much to say about this. Well, I mean, it happens very early on in it. You're following Michael Henchard when he makes a big mistake one night, a huge mistake that he cannot take back, and then I think about a decade goes by, and then we see where he is and where other people close to him are after that amount of time. It is this very small town you're following all these things happening in, and there was so much I could not have predicted happening in this. So yes, really highly recommend this. And then number 28 is Aurora Floyd by Mary Elizabeth Braddon. This I read this past Victober. There were not that many new favorite Victorian books from this past Victober. It was not the best Victober for me, but we're moving on, right? Onwards and upwards. I have only had one Mary Elizabeth Braddon book that I haven't liked out of the 4 that I've read. I cannot wait to continue reading more and more by her. This one, you're following Aurora, who her mother dies when she is a baby. So she's being raised by her father, and he finds out that she has had a romance with a servant on the grounds that they live in of this huge estate. So he sends her off to boarding school in Paris. And then she is finished at finishing school, and she comes back, and something is different about her, and you don't know what it is. There's some romance. There's some mystery aspects of this. I mean, Mary Elizabeth Braddon's books are such page turners, and this one I really enjoyed. So I'm very much looking forward to continuing on with Mary Elizabeth Braddon's books. And then number 27 is Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. I was not expecting to enjoy this book nearly as much as I did, but because the characters were interesting in this, I was expecting just plot in this. But there is such a rich tapestry of characters in this book, and characters that feel conflicted about the decisions that they should make, that can be a little gray in their morality, and they make such fascinating characters to read about, and you just want to know what's going to happen next. There is a lot that happens in this book, so I knew as soon as I was reading it, well, I feel like I'm missing some things. I already cannot wait to read it aloud with Peter in a few years. I think it will make a really great reread, and it just seems like such a book for boys, even though girls can read it too. Obviously, I read it, I loved it, but I think it is just such a classic adventure tale, and it is my father's favorite book of all time. I didn't realize that, but I was telling him last fall how much I was enjoying it, and he's like, yeah, that's my favorite book. I didn't know that was your favorite book. So yes, so much fun, just like a big spirit of adventure about it. And then number 26 is Lorna Dune by R.D. Blackmore. This woodland adventure story I love. You're following Lorna Dune, and also, what is his name? John Ridd, who is a farmer living in the woods. And the Dunes are sworn enemies with most people in this Exmoor land where John Ridd lives, and how this affects Lorna. And one day he happens upon her and just falls immediately in love. The romance in this is not my favorite aspect of it. The character of Lorna is not that fleshed out, but there's so much else that I really enjoyed in this that I just have it as a favorite. And yes, I definitely recommend it. I was very charmed by it. It's a very cozy read. And then number 25 is Agnes Gray by Anne Bronte. I think some people think this is a little too low-key in the plot, but I just think of it differently, than I do other Victorian novels. I don't think of it as a sensation novel. I just went into it with a different expectation of what it was going to be like. It's a very gentle tale. You're following Agnes. Her family has fallen on hard times financially, so she needs to become a governess. She works with some with some dreadful children. I mean, they are awful. But it is Agnes that makes the book for me. And I definitely want to reread this. I'm contemplating rereading it this summer. We will see if I do. Yes, I really enjoyed this when I read it. It's just sweet. It's a sweet book. And then number 24 is The Christmas Hirelings by Mary Elizabeth Braddon. I think this should be as well known as A Christmas Carol. This is a hill I will die on. It's so excellent. You meet this old curmudgeon who has isolated himself, and he is not on good terms with his daughter, who is grown, and he's going to be spending Christmas alone. I mean, the servants will be in the household, but it's not the same as having family visiting. So one of his acquaintances takes it upon himself to take several children from an orphanage, and they are going to jolly him along during Christmas. And it just makes this total miser. It just melts his heart, and it's so sweet to see. And there's just a lot of fun in this story, and I highly recommend it. I highly recommend all these. I realize I'm saying that so much, but I really do love them all. Then we get to book number 23, which is Dr. Thorne by Anthony Trollope. This is way up there in the Barsetshire series. I love this book, and the romance in this is very sweet, and there are just some wonderful characters that I'm very attached to, and I just remember feeling very swoony while I was reading this. It just was so easy on my brain, but such great writing and just kind of my ideal kind of Victorian novel. That's what Dr. Thorne is, and I loved it so much. And then number 22 is The Doctor's Wife by Mary Elizabeth Braddon. This one is ranked a bit higher than Aurora Floyd because the main character, whose name is Isabel Gilbert, has a bit more, I feel like you get to know her a bit better than Aurora Floyd. And one thing that is especially particularly fun about this is that one of the main characters is a sensation novelist. So it is a very tongue-in-cheek novel. It's making fun of itself. And it is Mary Elizabeth Braddon's take on Madame Bovary, which I find fascinating. Very worth your time. Just a really kind of unusual Victorian novel in some senses, how it is self-aware with a sensation novelist in it. But so many books are referenced in this. There is so much book love. And if you have not read Dombey and Son, you want to wait on this because it spoils like everything in Dombey and Son, which I love. That is nowadays a lesser known Victorian novel. Were it not for Katie from Books and Things, I would not have read it for a long time. And it's talked about so much in here. So I think Mary Elizabeth Braddon really liked Dombey and Son. And there are several other books that are referenced, which I love that. So it is a book for book lovers. All right, number 21 is The Return of the Native by Thomas Hardy. This, Sylvia's lovers and a Welsh witch with their otherworldly atmosphere, same thing in here. This book just totally swept me off my feet. I was so enchanted by how vividly I could picture everything. You know, I felt like I was walking in a field with these characters. And there are some really tragic things that happen. That's kind of the expectation you have when going in to read a Thomas Hardy book. And some miscommunication, which is a very Victorian trope, and some secrets. But it's just the pacing of this, some really interesting characters. And this is one of the books, if you followed me for a couple years, this is one of the books that I pressed a flower for. Can I hold it up? Yes, there it is. Yes, so I really, really highly enjoy this. And like I said, if you want like an otherworldly, intense atmosphere, Return of the Native is your go-to. Then we have Deerbrook coming in at number 20. So this is another one that I pressed a flower for. Here we go. There it is. And the flower It's very interesting because I pressed the flower for Margaret. There are two sisters in this book, Margaret and Hester. The first time I read this, I preferred Margaret. But then I reread this 2 years ago and I preferred Hester. So I love that about a classic book. You're going to have a different experience as you read. My one hang up with this book is that I don't really, as the kids are saying these days, I don't really ship any of the couples, because the men can have some really frustrating aspects about their characters, but it is so highly ranked because there is so much else to love about the book. You are doing life with these characters. You are right there with them in their day-to-day life, their sorrows, their joys, and I love that about it. It just feels so intimate and up close and personal with the characters, and I just really, really savor that about it. It's a novel full of beauty and full of taking a moment to step back and examine the beauty in the everyday. And I hope more people read this beautiful book. But there is another book in the same category that is ranked a little bit higher, which you will see. I'm giving you a teaser for the next video when I rank books 19 through 10. Getting down there. Okay, that is all, folks. And thank you for watching. This has been such a fun project. And, I could have saved it for Victober, but I'm sure by the time Victober rolls around, the ideas will be flowing. So I didn't want to cram it all then. And you know what? Here, some Victober fun for you in this June. Thank you as always for watching, and I will be back with another video soon. Bye.